could hardly hear what you were saying. You were going like robotic again.
Robotic?
Yeah.
Bigger, older, faster, stronger.
Right, when you go.
I didn't even have to sample that either. That was just
exactly, aye. Daft Punk.
Aye.
And the stadium erupts in red, white and blue. You've never seen anything like it.
Let's go.
Manchester, brace yourself. Rangers are coming!
Hi everyone and welcome to the next what's going to be a very pissed off episode of the iReady podcast. As ever, I'm your host Derek and with me is my co-host Dave. How are you doing, Dave?
Derek, you know how I'm doing, mate. I am pissed off, frustrated, annoyed and just it's not very good. That's all I can say, because we've done something tonight that we don't usually do, and that's record straight after a game. And me and you are rather pissed off, aren't we?
Obviously, we don't want to bury the lead here, but obviously we got beat tonight off Aberdeen in the Scottish Cup quarter-final replay, but we'll get into that. There won't be a much coverage of it, obviously, because there was a media blackout, and thankfully there was, I think, after what the performance we heard and seen of. So, yeah,
it's... I think we're all collectively just really flattered by that, Derek, aren't we? It was, that game tonight was probably the biggest game of the season for us, and it was just poor. But I'm sure you're going to get into that when we cover the matches coming up, aren't you?
Yeah, unfortunately we've got two other matches to cover which weren't really any better, to be honest. So we'll get into that just now, and we'll go down the tunnel and onto the pitch. So the first game we've got to cover is the original Scottish Cup quarter-final against Aberdeen. It was on Sunday the 3rd of March away to them, and we drew 1 each. Right, the first thing I'm going to have to obviously talk about here is Rangers issued a statement ahead of the fixture warning fans over sectarian and singing and behaviour. And it never really worked, because seats still got broken by our fans. Now, I know some fans were saying that the seats were poorly made and poorly constructed, and there was a screenshot that were all out of line and everything like that, but that's not really the point. Other fans sit in them and they don't have the same issues. All that's happened here is Rangers are seen in a bad light, and Rangers once again are issued with a fine for fixing them. Some fans were saying that the seats just broke as we were standing on them celebrating. Well, the simple fucking thing is, don't stand in them then, and they won't break. You know, and if that's one thing, another thing is throwing them at the Aberdeen fans. And I don't care if there was an accusation of Aberdeen fans broke their own seat and chucked at us initially. Don't throw it back, because all that's going to happen there is we're the ones that get the blame for it, and we did. So some of our fans and away fans really don't help our cause, do they?
It's true what you said, Derek. Regardless what, I think, everything that's happened, it baffles me how stupid that people can be. For, again, we go on about it every single week, but surely it has to sink in at some point that anything, even the slightest incident involving the Rangers support, will be highlighted in the media. It will be highlighted everywhere and anywhere. And that's, I think, what annoys me more than anything else, Derek, is that people bound to know that the slightest wee thing, and we're going to get punished for it big time, and it's going to be highlighted. And it's like, it could be anything it is. It's not even the singing, it's not even just anything, any kind of stupid behaviour at all was going to get highlighted. And that's what's annoying me the most, is that folk are still out there doing it. And I don't know what it is, Derek. Are some folk just too pissed to realise, or are they just too stupid? Or I honestly don't know. It baffles me. I'm the same as you. I was raging about it as well, because the first thing I thought to myself was, this is going to be highlighted majorly here, and it's going to come back on the Rangers support. has been the scum of the day, and that's certainly the way it's been portrayed, hasn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, and other bad behaviour as well. It's not just confined to the Rangers fans here, obviously the Aberdeen fans as well. Offensive, absolutely. Bordering on racist, if not actually racist, with a banner directed at Morelos. Now, the media picked it up. It was written in Colombian. Now, Colombian's not a language, it's Spanish, you fucking idiots.
I laughed at that myself, actually. Again, that just shows you the standard of the media that we have in our country. That somebody did actually write that, and nobody corrected them for it as well, which is absolutely priceless.
Yep.
It really was.
It was translated into English as "your mother is a mattress." Now, for them to actually do that was one stupidity, but as I said, bordering on racist. Now, it was barely picked up in the media. It was certainly picked up, but they never really taken the whole connotation about it. They just seen it was an offensive banner, didn't see the racial connotations of it, and Aberdeen are allegedly investigating that. Well, that's never going to come to anything, is it?
No, definitely not, no.
Yeah, so once again, it's always... It's big bad Rangers when they do a non-offensive sign, but when it comes to someone else doing a deeply offensive sign, nothing's really said about it.
But how many times have we covered this though, Derek? We are not being treated the same as anyone else, and as I say, this is what now gets me with a lot of our fans, is surely we need to wake up and say that that anything that we do is going to be magnified so many times compared to any other supporters out there. It happens time and time again, and that's just another example.
Yeah. We lined up McGregor, Tavernier, Worrell, Goldson, Barisic, Kamara, Jack, Arfield, Candeas, Morelos and Kent. On the subs bench we had Fotheringham, Katic, Halliday, McCrory, Koulibaly, Defoe and Lafferty. Now, just because of what's happened tonight, I'm not wanting to get deeply into the game, to be honest. Certainly, the first half was a scrappy game all round. Very, very poor from us. We didn't get started. Aberdeen never gave us much time on the ball, in fairness. Ryan Jack had an absolute shocker of a first half performance. Goldson really wasn't switched on at all. Not a great deal of clear cut chances from Aberdeen, but they were still the better team and the more hungrier team, and we did got a goal down in the 10th minute, and it came after a penalty to Aberdeen. It was a quick break from Aberdeen. Goldson clips Gary Mackay-Steven in the box and really can't argue with it at all. Just really poor defending from Goldson, because I don't think he even knew he was there, and that was about the awareness of Goldson and what I've been banging on about for so long now, that about Goldson not being able to keep tracking his man. He just seems to lose the man all the time, and that was a prime example of it. As I said, can't really argue with it. Aberdeen got the penalty. There was a shot to the right. McGregor got his hand to it, but the pace of it couldn't keep it going out. So that's what happened there.
Yes, there's not really much more that you can say about that, Derek, can you? You've summed up the first half, quite well there, Derek. We really didn't look at the races, but either did Aberdeen really, but they were happier, as obviously they got the breakthrough with the penalty. They were quite happy to sit back, and we basically weren't really doing anything against them. Were we? It was pretty dull stuff, and the one thing that I did think was surely in the second half we can be better than we have been in the first half.
Yeah. One thing that I think that kind of nullified a lot of our attacking play was Morelos on the 14th minute was given a yellow card for diving. It was a blatant dive. He's done it before. He's very cute with the way he goes down sometimes, and sometimes I think he tries to be too cute, and he completely made an absolute arse of this one. He was getting held before the dive, and if he had maybe went down then, it might have been maybe not given, but he wouldn't have been given a yellow card maybe. But he needs to cut that out of his game, because it's really affecting him, and that basically taking him out of the game for the rest of the game. He done fuck all, basically. Maybe he wasn't given as much of an outlet as because we weren't up for it, but at the same time, his harrying play, his on the heels of every player wasn't the same, because he was obviously walking that tightrope, and it taking him out of the game. So he's only got himself to blame, and what transpired as well is that meant if he got a yellow card in the replay, in the subsequent replay, which he did, by the way, he would have been out for the semi-final.
Yeah.
So it's just complete stupidity from him. But there's not really much more to say about it, and he's a liability that way because he's too good to drop. But when he does stupid things like that, he nullified himself out the game.
Yeah, you're right there. I mean, you know that I've absolutely love the guy, and I'll defend him to the hilt. But it's the one thing, it's the stupid things. If I don't mind him being that sort of in your face, and getting in the middle of things. A lot of people going about being hot headed, but it's these wee, the other wee things, the diving and all of that. And I'm sure there was a few instances, to tonight's game as well, which is right. And it's annoying for the fact he is such a good player that he does try things like that, Derek, isn't it? But again, it's something that is just a part of his game, and I'm sure the coaching staff are trying their best to try and stop it, but it's not happening, is it? And it is frustrating, when you're watching him, and it seems to be more when he's not having any luck, when he's no on his game or he's no scoring. It's more frustration, I think, more than anything else with him.
Yeah. So into the second half, we thought we were going to come out and fight a wee bit more, and to an extent we did for maybe about 10 minutes, and that was really about it. Right on the kick-off in the 45th minute, Morelos was held back in the box. He didn't go down, and there was no penalty given. Perhaps if he had maybe went down, it would have been a penalty, because he was clearly getting held outside the box, and it continued on inside the box. But again, I think it was maybe one of these things that was in the back of his mind. Well, if I get booked again for diving, and that's me off the game. So again, his usual play was affected by blatantly diving in the first place. And we did get a goal though 2 minutes later on the 47th minute with Joe Worrell scoring. There was a corner in from the left. Morella's done enough to put the defender off. Worrell at the back post with a volley from low down into the back of net. Brilliant goal all round, kind of like Kamara's goal against Dundee in the game before, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. No, it was a great finish, Derek. To be fair to him, he fired it in. Great connection with the ball, great timing. It was, if you didn't know any better, you would have said it was a striker that had fired that in. No, it was a fantastic goal, and he was chuffed to bits with it as well, with the celebration and all the tweets and everything that he put out after it. And really pleased for him, because he's took a lot of stick, Worrell, Derek, but to be fair to him, the last sort of 5 or 6 games, he's actually been pretty decent for us. He really has. He's looked more solid than what Goldson has. Yeah. And it was a really good goal, Derek, and brought us straight back into the game.
Yep. On the 52nd minute, the Aberdeen attacker was given a yellow for diving in the box. So good to see that there was a wee bit of parity on that one there anyway. For a minute, because he did stay, the referee did have a long look at it before actually giving the decision. So it was a bit touch and go what he was actually going to give for that one there.
Yeah.
We had a couple of moves from there, but really kind of came to nothing. Arfield had a shot over the bar in the 58th minute after some good play. Although on the 61st minute, Aberdeen had a corner. The ball wasn't cleared. They had a shot which was cleared off the line. Rebounds back to the Aberdeen attacker, who has a shot and again cleared off the line, but by his own attacker this time, fortunately. Rebounds back out and another shot, and eventually blocked and cleared by our defence. But Aberdeen, towards the second part of the second half, they were coming more into it, and we had a few lucky moments. That was one of them. We had another chance in the 68th minute, and on the 75th minute, McGregor had to pull out a couple of outstanding saves from close range from Aberdeen, and again we rode our luck towards the end. And it just seemed to be that we fell off in that second half again, and we didn't look like we were going to score. And we just, we weren't trying to shoot from outside the box like Aberdeen were. And we've said it time and time again, you shoot from outside of the box, it's always got that chance of rebounding off someone, getting a corner out of it, rebounding it to the back of the net. And, we just don't do that.
I think, Derek, I just had this feeling that, 10 minutes after we scored, that we were quite prepared to take the draw and go for the replay. And I got that feeling throughout the whole of the second half. After that, especially sort of last 20 minutes of the match, I thought we are sitting back here, we're quite happy just to try and just get possession and keep possession and not really do anything. And I wasn't surprised at all that's what happened in the end, and thankfully we didn't concede anything else.
Yeah, so obviously it set up a replay which, we've played in an inordinate amount of games this season so far. Another replay isn't something, we want to go through once again. It's more expense for our fans as well. It's, we've taken a night again out of watching more shite when it should have been wrapped up in the first leg if they just actually tried. And again, we've played Aberdeen now 7 times, I think. We've played Kilmarnock 7 times. And as David Edgar said in Heart and Hand, this is what's wrong with Scottish football. There is no need to play teams 7 times a season. 4 times in the Premiership is bad enough. Add on 2 cup games and then a replay for one of them. It's just pointless, isn't it? But yeah, that's the way the Scottish game is run these days. So, into the next game, it was Friday the 8th of March, away to Hibs, and we lined up McGregor, Tavernier, Goldson, Worrell, Halliday, Jack, Kamara, Arfield, Candeas, Morelos and Kent. On the subs bench we had Fotheringham, Defoe, Davis, Flanagan, Katic, Koulibaly and McCrory. Now obviously this was played at Easter Road, so it was going to be a bit hostile, and we'll get into that at half time. Just in terms of the kind of summary of the first half, completely dominated the first half, some very good play and movement, just choosing the wrong option in front of goal just about every single time. Not helped by the state of the pitch and the conditions making the ball bobble, but it's the same for both teams at the end of the day. And as I said in the post-match, Hibs don't train in that park. It's not like an AstroTurf park where they get to train in it, so they don't learn the nuances of the park. So same for both teams in that respect. But Hibs weren't at it at all. They were dire in the first half, and we were all over them. And it was just, typical us once again. Controversial moment in the 7th minute. Darren McGregor given only a yellow card for an elbow to the face of Morelos. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Yep.
He knew exactly where he was. I read every day of the week. And once again, it seems you can do whatever you like to our players, and you don't get the proper punishment for it.
Derek, do you know the reason that we know that it was a elbow, a straight elbow in the face and a red card? How we can, beyond doubt that it was a straight red card, Chris Sutton said it was a red card. Chris Sutton straight away said that's a disgraceful decision by the referee. That's a red card all day long. That's all I need to say on that incident.
Yeah. We did play some very good play. It was a lovely long low ball by Jack to Candeas down the right. Candeas puts in an early cross, but nobody there. Comes to Kent on the far side, takes it in the box, beats 2 players, cuts it back to the centre spot, and Arfield has a shot going goal bound. Was deflected up and over the bar by the defender. Morelos had a shot in the 20th minute. It was broken the right hand side. Has a shot from the angle but saved by the keeper. 21st minute, good skill by Arfield getting the ball in the box, and the ball got away from him before he could get a proper shot off. The defender managed to get in and block it and clear it. 24th minute, ball to Tavernier on the right. It was a great cross in, going straight to the head of Morelos, but he was clearly shoved in the back. Absolutely nothing given. Ball falls, ball comes to the far side, cuts into the box, and it was shot over the bar. Again, clear push to the back of Morelos, nothing given. Referee to a different standard again.
Yeah, no, it was a shocking. It was a shocker again, and again, Derek, I've got to say, even the certain commentators, not just Chris Sutton, were agreeing with you there that some of the decisions were baffling.
Yeah, I mean, I've not highlighted it a lot in my commentary here, but there was some absolutely crazy, inconsistent refereeing in this game. I can't remember who it was. Was it Clancy or something like that? But
yes,
it was an absolute joke of a performance, and it started, as I said, right from that clear elbow. 36th minute was a great ball threaded through to Kamara in the box. The ball didn't sit for him, hits a shot, it was blocked, falls to Arfield, who has a half volley but blocked, about to come back to him, but their defender gets his leg in to clear the ball. It was 38th minute, it was a quick break, ending in Morelos getting the ball with his back to goal from 20 yards, a quick spin and a shot right at the keeper, who spills it but then gathers. 41st minute, Hibs were up our end. Linesman flags for offside. The ref sees it but doesn't give it, and our players kind of half stopped as well. Crazy decision because our players had stopped. However,
totally stopped. Yep.
However, that did lead to our goal.
Yes.
It was a quick break up the park from that piece of play in the offside, the offside that never was. It was played to the right hand side to Candeas, who had a shot. It was blocked by the defender, but it falls back to him, who has a curling shot right into the top right hand side. Absolute peach of a goal, wasn't it?
A sensational goal, and with his left foot as well, Derek. He's not really known for finishing with his left foot and cutting in and hitting shots like that, but it was not. It was a fantastic curled right into the top corner. It was a tremendous goal, and at that point, Derek, I genuinely thought, right, that's us had to break through, go out and get an early goal in the second half, and it'll win us the game. That's honestly what I thought at that point, because we were so on top and all over them. There was only one team in it. Some of the best football we've played, Derek, this season. Let's be perfectly honest. It wasn't. And I know that we're glossing over it slightly, but as far as pressing Hibs, winning the ball, getting forward, it was absolutely fantastic. And a lot of last ditch defending, some fantastic saves by their goalkeeper, and it could have honestly have been about 5 or 6 at half time, but it wasn't to be, unfortunately. Again,
I don't think there was a lot of saves though from their keeper, because I think we only had about 6 shots on target all game.
There was 2 outstanding saves in the first half. The rest were a lot of sort of last ditch defending, or very last minute, just getting a wee toe before the ball was got to the striker, or before they got a chance to go in. There was a lot of sort of last ditch defending and blocking by Hibs to stop us getting in. But apart from that, Derek, I mean, the Rangers were excellent in the first half. They really were. I thought Kamara was just outstanding. He won absolutely everything. Any time that Hibs broke anywhere, he was the first player on. And I did genuinely think at that point at half time, all we need to do is just go and get this second goal early on, and that'll be it. It'll be game over.
Yeah. But you know what it's like with us in the second goal. We just struggle to get it all the time. Just before half time, this is the moment of just absolute craziness from the Hibs fans. Tavernier was going to retrieve the ball from a throw in. The ball was on the deck. Hibs fan jumps over the advertising board and grabs Tavernier by the kind of neck and kicks the ball away. Tavernier quite rightly pushes him away before the stewards get the police to him, and Tavernier was having a right go at him, and the Hibs fan completely shat it afterwards, because he kind of realised Tavernier was going for him and he kind of backed off a bit. But absolutely shocking scenes once again at Easter Road, especially. How many more times is things like this going to happen to players on the park before something properly gets done by not only the footballing authorities, but the likes of the police and the Procurator Fiscal as well? Because we all seen what happened with him as well. Leanne Dempster quite rightly raging after the game and had a kind of impromptu word with the cameras. Kind of good to see, but also very clever PR from her as well, because she knows her club is going to get slammed for this. Obviously with the Buckfast bottle getting thrown at Scott Sinclair in the game beforehand at Easter Road as well. Just absolutely ridiculous. What is even worse though is it taking 2 days for the SPFL and Neil Doncaster to come out and condemn it. Yet contrast that with what happened at the weekend in England with Jack Grealish, who was punched by was it an Aston Villa fan? No, it was a Birmingham fan, wasn't it?
A Birmingham fan, yeah. I think what's annoyed me the most, Derek, because you're talking about that. Leanne Dempster came out straight away, as she had to. We've heard nothing for our own club at all, which I'm a bit annoyed about. When it comes to Neil Doncaster and the Justice Secretary or Minister Hamza Youssef, who we all know about as well, the only reason that they have came out and said anything, Derek, is because of what has happened down in England. I don't care what anybody said. There was nothing had been said by any of them until that incident in England had happened on Sunday, and then it was brought to light. The media, I mean, even the likes of Sky were all over the incident at Easter Road as well, and it was. I think it's incredible actually that they were sort of. I feel as if they were sort of forced into having to make a statement, Derek, where they should have been right out there straight away. It just feels so, oh my God, we're going to have to say something here. We're going to have to say something. Oh, the pressure's building. Oh no, we'll not say anything. Oh God, there it is again. Oh, we're going to have to put a statement out. And it was pathetic, Derek. It really was. But again, not surprising. Really not surprising. Just with the way that everything has happened. And yet again, Hibs fans again, if you look at the amount of incidents that there has been involving Hibs, has been incredible. And it's not just been against us, as you say. There was the bottle thrown, and there was also the Hearts goalkeeper as well, if you can remember. So it's again and again and again and again. It's just it's constant, and nothing seems to be done about it. And everything just feels forced when it comes to the likes of Neil Doncaster. There's never anything that he's sort of done on his own, or came out himself. It's as if he's I've got to go out and do this. So here's the statement. It's just really really disappointing, Derek. That guy's an absolute scumbag. We're not going to say his name. His face was blocked out, but the wonder of social media named and shamed the guy within a few minutes, because it was quite clear, and they named him and they put down where he lived and stuff like that. So as I say, the guy will be recognised and should never be allowed to set foot inside a football stadium again. No,
but I mean, you look at contrast that with what happened with the Birmingham fan in Grealish. It happened on the Saturday. He was arrested at the game, overnighter, or 2 overnighters it would have been, and then on the Monday, taken to court. He's now spending 14 weeks in jail, and he was sentenced there and then 14 weeks in jail, and given a banning order from every English ground in for the next 10 years. Mm-hmm. That's what you call swift justice when it comes to that, and that gives an incentive for people not to do it again. Whereas I don't know if there was any previous convictions that guy's got, but certainly it sends out a message that the guy did get 14 weeks in jail and a 10-year banning order. Whereas the guy for the Hibs fan, he's not getting sentenced till next fucking April. Yep, I know. He's been given a banning order from Hibs, I think, but I don't know if that equates to the rest of the grounds in Scotland. But you know what's going to happen? He'll get community service, a fine, and he'll get a banning order for 2 or 3 years in Scotland, because that's what happens. Derek, I don't know, you might be able to correct me here, but have the media even named the guy? He's been named now, yeah. It has been named now, because, as I say, that was another thing. In England, the guy's name was published straight away, so everybody knew exactly who he was, everything about him. But as I say, it was quite incredible, because even on the BBC, which our feelings on the BBC, the guy's face was blurred out and stuff like that. But that's another thing that I wanted to say, Derek, is the BBC had to take down their initial report, because they basically had it that James Tavernier had manhandled him as well. Well, the BBC have had to issue an apology once again to Rangers today, so it's quite incredible the way it's reported. It was they both raised their hands to each other, wasn't it? Quite incredible. I think it really is. The kind of bigger picture, though, is where do you think this has stemmed from? Now, it's been gradually getting worse for me ever since 2016, where it was fair game. Rangers seem to be fair game when it comes to things like this. It happened at Motherwell, where Lee McCulloch was attacked by the fan, trying to retrieve the ball for a throw-in. The later on in that same game, I think, the fans charged onto the park trying to get to our fans. And then obviously there was the Scottish Cup final with the Hibs fans openly attacking our player and getting fuck all for it, basically. And it was just classed as over-exuberance. And then that's telling everybody that it's okay to attack players, especially Rangers players, because nothing will happen to you about it. Yep. It's as you say, Derek, we're seen as fair game now, aren't we? And we've been quite, with this
how far forward we've came with the club PR wise and things like that. We thought that things like that would stop, but we've still not heard anything for the club either. With regards to this, I thought there would have been a bit more fight in there and a bit, some sort of statement released with regards to it. But we've not heard anything for that side either, have we?
But then, looking at it the other side, what would a statement, what would a statement say? And what would it really influence or anything like that? Everybody will know the club wouldn't be happy with it, and I can imagine, as per usual, a lot's been said behind closed doors, and it's one of these things where you've got to pick and choose when you put your statements out, I think. And yeah, it might have been good to see something in relation to that, but what would it actually say? It would say, we condemn the actions of this fan.
I just think we were needing to hear something, Derek. We're needing to hear something. We're needing to hear the fact that we're absolutely appalled and disgusted with what happened, and whatever, but we've not heard anything. I think the fans need that sometimes as well, rather than just sitting in silence. But as I say, it's done now. We'll not hear anything from the club there at all. But it was just a horrible thing to happen, Derek. Absolute scumbag of a guy, and as you say, we'll not hear anything now for quite a few weeks as to what's actually going to happen. But as you say, Derek, he'll be banned for 2 years and he'll be given his community service, and that'll be it. It's shite, to be perfectly honest. The guy should be punished big time and should spend some time locked up away, and he should never be allowed back into a football ground in Scotland again. But I doubt that'll happen. Yeah,
I mean, because ultimately there's no incentive now for having a banning order, because most clubs have got their own TV channels that you can watch games on, so you're still getting to watch the game home and away. Mm-hmm. So, but anyway, on to the second half. We, as Dave said, it's a case of we thought, we'll batter on. We've been far the better team, and certainly we started off that way in the second half. Probably the first 10, 15 minutes of the half, we were the better half. We had a couple of good moves, but the ball just not sitting for us in the right area, and we weren't getting our shots off as soon as we would like. 56 minutes, it was a break up the park from Hibs after poor defending and Goldson being turned. Simple ball from the left, slipping the attacker in, who got in front of the defender, shot by the attacker, forcing a save from McGregor, deflected out to the Hibs player on the left, narrows the ball into the box, gets a half shot off, and another great save from McGregor as well. Dangerous play. This is the problem when it's only 1-0. One move is all it takes, yep. and you're on the back foot again.
Yep.
66 minutes, it was an outswinging free kick from Halliday on the left. Worrell at the back post, played it across goal, falls to Morelos, who shoots from 6 yards and cleared more or less off the line by the defender. Quite unlucky, that one there. 69th minute, ball flicked up in the box and hit off the hand of the Hibs defender. I've seen them given, I've seen them not given, and this one, play raged on, so clearly not given for that one. 72nd minute, there was a speculative shot from Hibs from 25 yards on the right hand side, took a bounce just in front of McGregor, who had to make a good save and knock out for the corner. That was quite a dangerous one, because any time the ball bounces right in front of the keeper, yes, especially with the state of that pitch, it can bounce anywhere and can make a keeper look like a fanny. So fortunately McGregor bounced okay for McGregor, and he managed to deal with that there. However, it all went tits up in the 75th minute, and Hibs went one each. Tavernier lost the ball at the Hibs box, which we'll get into in a minute. For me, he casually strolled back. He never busted a gut to get there. However, Hibs broke up the park. We had more than enough bodies back. I think it was something like 5-on-3 at that point. Our players just weren't closing down whatsoever. The ball was played to the right, crossed in, and knocked into the back of the net at the back post. And again, I think it's one of these things: Goldson and Worrell not picking up their men, one each. It was frustrating, Derek. It was that sort of pass, in the inside, down the right hand side. With no one there to sort of stop that through ball. And then the cross and the guy at the back post. I mean, it was a good finish by him, because he hit it sort of first time on the angle. But it was just poor. It was slack play, and as you say, it all stemmed from us
being on an attack and giving the ball away, and nobody snuffing the ball out, and it was just really sloppy, wasn't it? And lack of concentration, and for the fact that we had been so dominant in the first half to suddenly being like that, it was just really, really poor.
Yeah, and in terms of when Tavernier lost the ball, now for me at the time it wasn't a great shot of it, but I didn't think he was fouled. I thought he just lost out in the ball fairly and squarely to the Hibs Hibs defender. However, allegedly, the McLean, the referee, has called Gerrard to apologise for getting that one wrong, because Gerrard apparently had words with him afterwards, and he reviewed he reviewed the tapes of it, and he feels that he got that one wrong. So I don't know how true that is. It was certainly in the media over the last couple of days, but doesn't really help us. But as I said, it didn't really help the fact that you seen Tavernier, what I felt was casually strolling back rather than busting a gut, but we did have enough bodies back to defend it, and we just never defended. So 78th minute, I mean, certainly at that point Hibs were coming a wee bit more back into it, and our arses really just collapsed right after the goal, and I think it was largely because Arfield came off, the substitution was made, Arfield came off and Defoe came on. We lost the midfield at that point, and Defoe really never got any service whatsoever from there on after.
I think to be fair to Arfield, Derek, even though he didn't have the best game by his standards, he was still threatening, if you know what I mean. He was still getting into good positions, he was still linking up, he was still sort of getting into the box and finding space, and I was quite baffled when he took him off, actually, because he was definitely the player that I thought would have got us something, or could have started something. So I think it took any creativity away from us in midfield completely when he came off, so I was quite baffled by that one. Unless he was maybe, we don't know, Derek. He was maybe saying he was struggling at that point. I honestly don't know, but certainly going by watching the game, he wouldn't have been the one that I would have took off. But that's it's happened now, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I explained it as a Football Manager move. That's what you do when you're a goal down in Football Manager, and you try and put an extra attacker on up front. And well, that's what I do anyway. But I'm shite at Football Manager. So what does that say? 79th minute, a minute later, there was another chance for Hibs, forcing another save from McGregor out for the corner. At this point, we were on the back foot completely. 82nd minute, there was a Hibs attacker was on the left-hand side of the box, allowed to get a shot off, and McGregor has to make another save. Falls to the Hibs attacker, who hits a shot, but blocked up and over for the corner by the defender. On the 91st minute, Darren McGregor finally seen a red card, and he was given a second yellow for a challenge on Defoe. He never argued about it, he just walked off, because he knew he was more or less the last man anyway. And on the 95th minute, Halliday had a free kick from 25 yards. It was a great free kick, up and over the wall, and clips the top of the bar and out. Unlucky, but it wasn't to be, and left the game really disappointed again for the fact that, apart from maybe the last 25 minutes of that game, we dominated Hibs. We should have been 3, 4, 5 up, and even in the first half. And a carbon copy of the first two games we played against them, we've picked up 3 points against Hibs when we've dominated them. We've dropped 6 points. These are the games where you lose out, you lose leagues on. Not the Old Firm games. We all know that the games that, the Old Firm games are generally not the deciders. It's the silly wee piddly games like this. And we've drawn 8 games this season so far. Celtic, and both us and Celtic have only lost 4 games. That shows you where we've dropped the points this year.
Yep, and that's, as I said, Derek, when we look back on this season, I think that's where, there's a lot of fans out there, tonight, just because of everything that's happened, pissed off with, the way we're playing. But as you have just pointed out there, Derek, we've only been beaten 4 times this season. So, I mean, there has been a dramatic improvement, but it's just frustrating more than anything else, the fact that we are dominating these games and still not getting the 3 points out of it. That's what's annoying for me.
No. So, into tonight's game, I'm not really going to speak too much about it because we don't really have a lot to say. We can only go by what we've seen on Twitter. We've seen briefly pictures of it on a hooky stream, and the commentary from Allegedly.
I don't know what you're talking about, Derek.
And the commentary on RTV, but I don't even know the team because I'm not going to. I think there was only one change in the team, and we basically played the exact same way as we did in the first game. We played right into Aberdeen's way, and we lost the goal on the 3rd minute. And apparently, I've not seen it back yet, but apparently it was a bad mistake from Kamara, who gave the ball away, which eventually led to the goal. And I don't think McGregor really had much chance of it, but. That's what happens. And the only thing that you can say about that is at least it was only in the 3rd minute and we had a lot of time to come back into the game. But that played right into Aberdeen's hands as well, yes. Because from what I've heard is they just sat right back.
Aberdeen, going by what I've heard and friends and things that have been at the game tonight, is as soon as Aberdeen scored that goal, they basically had 3 very big guys right in front of their goalkeeper. So they played 3 centre halves. They played 2 full-backs who were in line with their centre halves, and then they had 2 sitting midfielders. And when I say sitting midfielders, I mean sitting midfielders right in front of those 3 defenders. So they were basically sitting, Derek, with 7 in defence, and they had two wingers and 1 striker. And they were basically just looking to defend, and that's basically what happened, Derek. Rangers had a lot of the ball, we had a lot of crosses, but there was so many bodies in the box that we were getting absolutely nowhere near the Aberdeen goal.
No, and from what I heard as well, not shooting once again.
Yep, again, I think having that many bodies in the box, very difficult for them to do that. Aberdeen were quite happy to sit back and just frustrating. We were getting all the play down the wings. We were getting a lot of the ball. We were getting a lot of joy down there, getting a lot of balls into the box, but nobody to aim for in the box when it went in. And I think both me and you said at half time that the manager needed to make a change. He needed to get another striker in there, at least one striker, but again, it didn't happen until, the game was over, just about, didn't it?
Yep, another thing obviously we mentioned in the first game was the fact that Morelos getting booked in the first game. If he had got another booking in the replay, it meant he would miss the semi-final. Now, he did get booked for diving again. It was on the 34th minute. I've only seen one replay of it, and it was kind of a long distance shot, and the quality of it wasn't very good, so I can't really say either way if it was. However, it was always going to happen, wasn't it? He was going to get a yellow card one way or the other.
Yep, I was thinking tonight, Derek, before this game, and I know that, and I'm not contradicting myself here at all, because I do love the guy. I think he's fantastic, but I honestly thought to myself tonight, going by the fact that he's not had much joy against Aberdeen, going by the fact that something always seems to happen with him and Scott McKenna and Considine in the game, I thought to myself, is this maybe a game that he should sit out or be on the bench and start with something completely different, like a Kyle Lafferty up front, somebody that's just completely different to him. And I don't mean completely different. Lafferty is like used to playing sort of one up front a lot when he was playing for Hearts and things like that, but just a different stature, a different way he moves and things like that. And then I said to myself, no, you're being stupid. I wouldn't, you've got to stick with your best team. But unfortunately, it was another frustrating night for Morelos against them. And as you say, booked again for diving, and that just took the edge off him again, I think. Derek, do you not think so?
Yeah, I think so as well. 37th minute, Ryan Jack, I seen he had a good shot and hit the post, and just a minute after, Stevie May was given a yellow card for an absolute shocking challenge. I can't remember who it was on, but again, arguably a red. Another questionable performance from the referee as well tonight, from what I've heard. He did book, I think, 8 of the first 8 of the starting 11 of the Aberdeen players, so I don't know what that says. I mean, certainly a couple of them were questionable as well in terms of could it have been a red card, as I said with Stevie May. From what what Tom Miller said. He was actually, a bad referee, a very inconsistent referee for both teams tonight. So he was given fouls for one thing, and then the exact same foul would happen again and wouldn't give it. So, but that's fed up talking about referees.
I know.
I think what we've got to look at here is, as well as we've mentioned it before, and you've mentioned it briefly there, is the inability for Steven Gerrard to make changes when it's quite clear that a change is needed. Now, we lined up more or less the exact same way as we've played against Aberdeen all the time. Aberdeen have got a set style, and they didn't really have to really change that again tonight. My one big regret, or my one big frustration with the whole Walter Smith thing is, if teams know the exact way you're going to play, why did Walter Smith then play the exact same way in the UEFA Cup final? You change that to something the team would never expect, and you've got probably a better chance of doing it. And that's kind of exactly the way Gerrard played, the exact same way. Aberdeen knew exactly how we were going to play tonight, and we fell right into their trap. They got the luck in terms of a bad pass back from Kamara. They got the quick goal, and that just made their job so much more easier as well.
We are excellent, Derek, at playing against a team who want to come out and attack us. We have got the players to punish teams on the break, but we do not have the players to punish a team that are quite happy to sit back and completely pack their defence in their midfield and try and stop us playing. That's the worrying thing. That was the reason that he wanted to bring in a player like Stephen Davis to play as an attacking midfielder to try and create something. It's no work for Davis. Davis hasn't been the player that we thought he was going to be. I know he's not played a lot of games, but I don't know if it's just lack of matches or fitness or whatever, but it's no worked out for him. And that's our problem, Derek. And teams like Aberdeen and Hibs and all that are quite happy to sit back and defend and try and hit us on the break, and they're getting more joy out of doing that than what we are, which is the worrying thing for us. And as again, it proved that tonight. Aberdeen were quite happy to sit back and just watch us, break down the wings and put high balls into the box, because they were mopping them up every single time. We never got any joy for anything, and that's the worrying thing for me.
I think you're absolutely correct, but at the same time, you look at the Celtic game, and I've said this before, that last Celtic game in December, that's the benchmark. And we didn't wait for allowing a team to play their own way, whether it be attacking us or sitting back. We taken the game to Celtic, and we left everything out on the pitch, and the players have never done that since that. But
the difference is that Celtic didn't intentionally come to Ibrox to sit back and defend, though, Derek. They did want to play their own style. And again, that was why, I agree with you when you said that, that we took the game to them and we won every ball and everything like that. But they did not. They still wanted to try and play against us. We just stopped them from playing. They didn't come, with a negative attitude. We're going to sit back with, five guys in defence and they can sit and play the ball about in front of us. They had their, they wanted to play the way that they thought, win the game, and that was to try and attack, but we just stopped that altogether. So
but that's what I mean, though. We stopped their game before they could even have a chance to know what they were doing, and that's what we haven't done. You look at that Celtic game, our players were chasing every single ball, every lost cause ball, and they were winning everything. There was no doubt about they were getting the ball. 50-50s, they were winning. Get balls that should have been Celtic's ball were easily ours, because we were taking the game to them and stopping them doing whatever they wanted to try and do, and we haven't done that since.
But again, going back to the last game, the Hibs game in the first half, I would have said that's exactly how we played. We stopped Hibs from doing anything. We were winning every single ball, but we just couldn't score that second goal. That was the problem, and then we just switched off. But again, tonight with Aberdeen, they came to sit and defend and try and get one goal and just keep it at that, and it worked for them, and we just couldn't break them down.
Yep. My concern is the fact that Steven Gerrard isn't learning. and it's been quite clear that he's from day one he's been very reluctant to make changes to a team when it's quite clear that it's not working. The sign of madness is doing the same thing time and time again and expecting a different result to happen. As you said, something needed to change at half time. I would have said even earlier, and that for me is inexcusable. That's as much as the players are out in the park, they've got to perform. When they're not performing, he's got to react to it or switch things about, and we just never done that. And in terms I'm talking about the players here, there are far too many not playing the way they should do and not playing how well we know they can. And I'm sorry, and I know that there'll be some flack for this, but Tavernier and Candace for me are luxury players. See, when they're on their game, they are unplayable. They are fantastic. There's a reason why Tavernier has scored that many and got in that position and played some great balls. I know a lot of them have been penalties, mind you. There is a reason why Candace was, and stats-wise, one of the best players, if not the best, was it not, player in the group stages for the Europa League, because they can play so well. However, their inconsistency in terms of, and it's happening far too often, they are not playing. And down that right hand side with them to play, that's a creative outlet. Tavernier is an overlapping kind of player, gets down that full wing, and ironically he's a right back who's not actually that good at being a right back. He's certainly improved, but his main job he's not actually that good at. So then you're looking for him to be that creative outlet, play the balls in. Both of them, they're more often than not, their delivery is absolutely shocking. And when they two play, our team plays, and you've seen that time and time again, and vice versa. When they don't play, our team doesn't play.
The one thing that I'll say, Derek, if you look back at last year when Pedro was in charge, now I'm not getting into the, it's been a mistake. I've been pleased with Steven Gerrard coming in, as you have as well, Derek. But we know that there is some faults there, like we've just said. But the one thing that Pedro Caixinha did last year, especially against Aberdeen, is he must have actually studied the way that they played. And do you not remember when we played Aberdeen at Ibrox last year, when Peña and all that was still playing? Now there you go, it shows you the likes of Peña was there, but he completely changed the formation of the team to play against Aberdeen, and he played McCrory sitting behind, sort of just in front of the back four, and he played a diamond formation with Peña as the attacking midfielder, and we had great joy at it. So he changed it completely against Aberdeen, and had he had a good record against Aberdeen, actually, Caixinha. But it was needing something like that done tonight, Derek, wasn't it? It was needing a completely different formation tonight, because we all knew the way that Aberdeen would set up tonight. I could have told you that before the game, and again, it is quite disappointing. We all know the strongest Rangers team out there playing a 4-3-3, but for games like this, for these type of games, it's just I was feeling that we were just needing something completely different.
Yeah, I couldn't disagree. But anyway, it's kind of, obviously we're out the cup now. You may as well just hand the trophy to Celtic, because even though Aberdeen got a draw out of them in the last game, just there, you know what the games between Celtic and Aberdeen are like, so you may as well hand it to them now. In the league table, we've played 29, won 17, drawn 8, lost 4, scored 65, conceded 21, goal difference plus 44, points 59. We're 8 behind Celtic. They've got a plus 6 better goal difference, 8 ahead of Aberdeen, 9 ahead of Killie, and 12 ahead of Hearts. So certainly I think the league's over, because the fact is that we're going to get games like this, like the Hibs game as well, but we're not capitalising. I think we're quite fortunate at the weekend as well, where Celtic and Aberdeen drew, and that obviously kept it 8 points each for the difference there. But the league's over.
Derek, I'll be honest with you. I could see us going the rest of the the league games no being beaten, but I certainly can't see us going the rest of the games of winning every single match. That's what it comes down to. We have improved greatly, because that cup game tonight, that's the first time in I don't know how many matches that we've actually been beaten. I mean, it goes back quite some. I think the last time we were beaten was against Kilmarnock. when that's a long time ago. We are very difficult to beat. We always manage to get back into it, as I say, apart from tonight. But I could see us drawing against Celtic, or hopefully even beating them. But we will draw against the likes of Motherwell. We'll draw against the likes of Kilmarnock again, and that's ultimately where it's going to kill us, isn't it?
Yeah. So games to come, we'll just cover up to the end of March, where we've got the next game is on Saturday the 16th of March at home to Kilmarnock. That's in the Premiership, obviously, because it's the only competition we're left in, and that's a 3 o'clock kickoff, a Saturday 3 o'clock kickoff. Who'd have thunk it?
I know.
Sunday the 31st of March is the next game, and that's against the Orcs in the Premiership. That's a 12 o'clock kickoff midday. Obviously there's an international break in between that, so hopefully some arses can get kicked in the meantime, but it's happened once too often there, so we'll leave that there and we'll go into the classic match.
And then it is! The final whistle's gone. Rangers have won the European Cup Winners' Cup.
Right, Dave, so a 2-0 defeat to Aberdeen tonight. You're going to talk about, fortunately, a 2-0 win against Aberdeen in 1981, aren't you?
Yes, Derek. This was a game that I was privileged enough to attend, an iconic match. When I was looking back all the games that we've covered in the past, I couldn't actually quite believe that I hadn't covered this one, because it was, especially for Mark Hateley, because anytime I think about Mark Hateley, I always think about the highlights of this game, especially about him celebrating the first goal, and about the first goal. It was absolutely sensational. So basically, to go back, Derek, for somebody like yourself, 1991, you would have been, about 5 years old or something like that, is that right?
5 or 6, aye.
Right, well, at that point, Derek, Rangers in that season started off with Graham Souness as the manager, and with 4 games to go at the end of the season, with the season still on a knife edge, Graham Souness resigned to take up his post at Liverpool, and we were all pretty devastated about him going. Rangers, as I say, had 4 games left. Them and Aberdeen were neck and neck at the top of the Premier League. Rangers had went in, they had defeated St Mirren and Dundee United, and then on the second last game of the season we were beaten by Motherwell. Aberdeen won their game, and it actually put Aberdeen top on goal difference going into the final game of the season. And the final game of the season was going to be played at Ibrox on the 11th of May 1991, where Aberdeen came to Rangers to basically fight it out one last game to see who was going to be crowned league champions. Now, Walter Smith was put in charge of Rangers for these games. Rangers at the start of this game had 12 fit players in their squad. John Brown had to come in and play. He had pain-killing injections into his leg. The likes of Richard Gough, Trevor Stephen, Oleg Kuznetsov were all out completely. Ali McCoist was on the bench, but he was not fit. Any other game, McCoist wouldn't get anywhere near the bench, because he was nowhere near match fit, but he had to come in and go on the bench. So the Rangers team on that day was started with Chris Woods, Gary Stevens, Scott Nisbet, John Brown, Cowan at left back, and then Terry Hurlock, Nigel Spackman, Ian Ferguson, Mo Johnson, Mark Hateley and Mark Walters. On the bench that day for Rangers, Ian Durrant and Ali McCoist. Now, there was no Richard Gough, so Nigel Spackman was the captain for the day. Aberdeen, their team was Watt in goals, Stephen Wright, McKimmie, Alec McLeish, David Robertson, Grant, Van de Ven, Jim Bett, Simpson, Hans Hulhouse and Ian Jess. A very strong Aberdeen team that had played very well. It basically was a game that Rangers had to win. A draw wasn't going to be good enough. It was a team that had been battered all season, and coming into this last game we really needed to pull something out of the bag. Early on though, Rangers were on the front foot. Gary Stevens was putting in a lot of high hanging balls into the box. Mark Hateley fancied himself in an aerial battle with Alec McLeish. In one particular, he put in one sort of very good sort of hanging ball into the box. Watt goes up with Mark Hateley. There was a bit of a clash which Mark Hateley won, but the ball went out just over the bar. Then it was a corner to Rangers, and again played in, but just played too far over the defence. Testing the water at that point. And then Cowan at left back takes a really heavy knock from Van de Ven at that stage early on in the first half. He was struggling after that, so a bit of a worry there, considering we had no defenders on the bench. Aberdeen then had the first chance of the match. There was a half volley by Jim Bett in the edge of the box, but it was well over. And then a fantastic chance for Aberdeen to actually take the lead. And it came from a through ball to Hans Heelhuis, who went 1-on-1, but completely mishit his shot and dinked it, but straight into the arms of Chris Woods, thankfully, at that point. And then, unfortunately for us, Cowan had to go off injured after that. He was actually replaced by Ian Durrant. This meant a bit of reshuffling at the back, and it was Terry Hurlock that had to go into the left back position at that point. Aberdeen were sensing our difficulty, especially with our defence, and they were on the attack. Van de Ven with a great cross, and Hans Heelhuis heads just over the bar. He really should have burst the net with that one again. Thankfully, didn't. That was the best chance of the game so far. So Aberdeen were, really sensing they could smell blood. They were going for it. Rangers really had to pull something out the bag, but we started to come back into the game on the attack, ball into the box and headed out from the Aberdeen defender to the edge of the box to Ian Ferguson, who hits a fantastic volley and inches just wide at the bottom of the post. It would have been a fantastic goal. End-to-end stuff at that point. The ball up to Hans Heelhuis on the edge of the box, back to Grant. He hits a curling shot which was just past the post. Mark Walters then getting more into the game. He had a cross into the box, but just too high. But it was collected by Ian Durrant on the other side of the box. He cuts inside, has a shot. It gets headed out again by Irvine. Out to Ian Ferguson again, who hits another volley and just over the bar again. Really unfortunately, he didn't score. But then on the 40th minute, the goal that we were all waiting on, the breakthrough for Rangers, and what a goal it was.
Walters wants to bring the ball down and take on right. Going for the early cross, there's Hateley! It's a magnificent goal for Rangers! 5 minutes from half-time and out from Giroud. It's just about the first time in the match Mark Hateley's had the better of Alec McLeish. It was a delightful cross and a masterly finish. Set up here by Walters. With good decoy runs made there, notably by Gary Stevens. That ball flighted across it. This is Mark Hateley at his very best. And what a nuttle!
Mark Walters on the left-hand side picks up the ball and he fires in a huge cross right over the defence, and Mark Hateley leapt in the air and hit one of the greatest headers that you will see from any Rangers player. He bulleted it in right into the top corner of the net. It was absolutely sensational. It's a goal that the vast majority of us Rangers fans have seen over and over again, but just to go back and watch the height that he got in his jump and the power that he got in his header, it was absolutely fantastic, and it sent the whole at Ibrox into complete uproar. It was tremendous. The celebration by Hateley, you seen him running with his arms out, iconic moment. It was fantastic. So that was Rangers winning 1-0. Aberdeen, though, with 5 minutes to go, really laying siege. They were putting a lot of high balls into the box. They could sense that we were short in defence there. Thankfully for us, a lot of last-ditch defending, and we managed to see it out to half-time. Now, going in at half-time, Derek, there was, at that point, walking wounded, shall I say, in the Rangers team, but we only had Ali McCoist to bring on as a second-half sub. But thankfully Thankfully, we got the second goal early on in the second half, because in the 55th minute, straight into the game, Rangers are in dreamland.
Layup was intended for McKimmie, but he's released Johnston. Hateley waits in the middle, he will look to be offside. Well, the referee's allowed the goal, and Rangers are 2 in front. The error made in defence by Scott Booth. Chris Woods is celebrating, so too are the Rangers supporters. Mark Hateley gets his second. Well, here was Johnston. Now Hateley appeared to be to go into an offside position behind Eric McLeish, but the shot was released by Johnston. Watt couldn't hold it, it bounced away from him, and Hateley was first to react to turn the ball into the net. The goal coming 10 minutes into the second half.
Mo Johnston, who latched on to a poor pass back by Scott Booth. Johnston sees the goal in front of him, hits a fantastic shot. Watt can only parry it out straight in front of Mark Hateley, and he had the easiest of tap-ins to make it 2-0 to Rangers. Absolutely sensational stuff. The place was gone nuts. We could sense that we were going to be the champions. 60th minute, corner to Aberdeen. Chris Woods jumps out, drops the ball, unfortunately, to Davy Robertson. He tries to dink it just over the bar. Stuart McKimmie then receives the ball in midfield and shoots, but it's well wide. Then a high ball into the box. John Brown falls awkwardly, unfortunately, right down on the leg that he'd had the painkilling injections for. He had to go off, and Ali McCoist had to go on. Now, if you think of the team that we had, the reshuffling that went on at that point, because basically Gary Stevens and Nigel Spackman had to go in at centre halves, Terry Hurlock had to go in at left back, and Mo Johnston had to go into centre midfield with Ian Ferguson. So that was the reshuffling that they had to do. Still with a good bit of the game left, but that was when Mark Walters really sort of took it on himself to try and get into the match. One of the 2 times that during the game he set down the left hand side, cut inside his man, cut back again, cut inside, and sent in a fantastic cross to the back post. Ali McCoist was just on it, headed, but it was well over, unfortunately. Again, Mark Walters making himself available. Aberdeen were putting us under pressure. The ball played up to Walters. Fantastic control by Walters. Takes the ball out left again. He's got the defenders chasing after him. Away up into the corner. He had the skill to get past his man. Another great cross into the box again, but unfortunately nobody there. Rangers at that point just trying to keep the ball. Thankfully, it all worked out for us at the end. Aberdeen were beaten on the day, and Rangers were crowned champions, and that was the 3rd championship that we had going for 9 in a row.
Every eye now on the referee as the ball is out of play, waiting to see if Brian McGinley will bring this match to an end and make it formally Rangers championship. There it is! Rangers have won the championship.
Absolutely sensational stuff. The circumstances that Rangers were under, the pressure that they were under, both off and on the park, was incredible, and that was a gutsy performance, Derek. It was what we were needing tonight by the team just now. It wasn't to be, but the whole Mark Hateley goal, the celebration, it is an iconic moment for us, Derek, and I'm sure every single Rangers fan out there seen it. Surely the goal that I'm talking about, Derek, and the celebration after it. It's something that will live in my memory, I think, for the rest of my life.
I mean, fantastic you being there. There's some amount of game, like historic games you've been to, by the way.
I know it was a game. As I say, I was 16, Derek, and thankfully I was able to get a ticket for the match. And I was able to go, and I was actually in the main stand at that game. It was incredible, and the noise that day was incredible. And like I said, Derek, even the likes of you who had only been a wee boy at the time, surely you've seen that goal being played back quite a few times, haven't you?
I don't think I have, actually.
Oh, Derek, surely
you know what I'm like with games and all that kind of thing.
it's a goal that gets shown time and time again, and it's just an incredible goal, and the celebrations after it, even looking back now, made the hair in the back of my neck stand up. When he scored that goal, it was fantastic. Again, unless you like Derek and forget these things, I'm sure the vast majority of our listeners will know the goal that I'm talking about, but you really should get the chance and go back and watch the game. Some of the highlights, there's longer highlights of the match to watch, and there's the shorter ones, but even just watching the 10-minute highlights on YouTube, it's fantastic. And Mark Hateley, after that, Derek, became a hero of Rangers, because when he first signed, the vast majority of Rangers supporters didn't want him, didn't like him. They seen him as a direct replacement for Ali McCoist, who was the fans' favourite at the time. But after that game is when he really got into the hearts of the Rangers fans, and he was, an iconic player for me, one of my heroes. And sure, like a lot of guys my age and slightly older will be a hero to them as well. He was a fantastic striker, top striker. He had everything. He had speed. He had he was incredible in the air. He had great control. The power that he had. He was just a top striker, and he used to scare the living daylights out of Celtic as well any time that he played against them. So please go back and watch it, see some fantastic play, and you'll get to relive that Mark Hateley goal again. It was just brilliant. Yes, absolutely fantastic. Dave, I think you're going to need to look out some more iconic matches like that for the rest of the podcast this season, because we're going to fucking need it, I think. The only positive thing we've got to say. At least we can fucking laugh about stuff, eh? Oh God, man. So we'll have another one the next time, and we're going to go on to the news. So, a few bits and pieces to cover, and unfortunately we've got to start off with the sad news of the passing of a Rangers legend, former captain and Hall of Famer Eric Caldo. Sadly died at the age of 84. 407 appearances for us, capped 40 times for Scotland, 14 of them being captain. He then later went on to play for my local club, Stirling Albion. In total, he won 5 leagues with Rangers, 2 Scottish Cups and 3 League Cups. From all accounts, one of the, again, true gentlemen of the game, wasn't he? Yeah, it was. I mean, obviously, Derek, we're, too young to ever have seen him play, but certainly a name that, we all recognised as being one of the greats, for Rangers. And, just even going on the stats that you've given us there, absolutely fantastic stuff. And, a great loss for the club, and it's, a sad day for the club as well that it's happened. And going by, hearing a lot of the older ex-players talking about him, as you say, just a complete gentleman, wasn't he, going by the way that they spoke. And, as always, our thoughts are with his family at this time. Yep, and a minute's silence held tonight as well, which, fair play to them, impeccably observed by the both Rangers and Aberdeen fans tonight, so fair play to them for that one. Next one here, and this, I'm just astounded with this one. There was an independent review of football policing, revealed some very concerning things which kind of involved us, but unsafe scaffolding, more tickets sold at grounds than the grounds can actually hold, and even more concerning, altered ground safety certificates. And this was all in relation to a lot of the grounds that we visited on the way back up through the leagues. We all knew we were helping a lot of these clubs out by having lots of fans there, and there was obviously a few issues on occasion with more. We knew there was, fake tickets floating about and more tickets sold than what was actually allegedly printed. However, for them to be altering safety certificates and for unsafe scaffolding, I mean, for a start, the first one there is fraud. It's absolutely scandalous that this has honestly happened, and I expect nothing less than, now that this has came out, that these clubs get their balls booted and put it in plain terms, because there is no excuse for that whatsoever. They have put
money ahead of people's safety. And I don't care that it was our fans, it's just fans in general. They've put people's safety behind making a quick buck, and that is unforgivable.
Yeah, definitely, Derek. And as you know, they've been lucky that it's that nothing did happen. But it's quite scandalous actually. When you think about it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just I'm astounded by it, to be honest. But this is what happens when Rangers come to town. People try and take advantage. So next one here. And I'm not going to mince my words about this one here. The Union Bears have been a disgrace over this, in my opinion. We'll clarify it with saying they do a lot of good, absolutely. However, over this issue, they have been an absolute disgrace. We attended the Dundee game, and it was awfully silent from them. We kind of presumed it was maybe something to do with the accusations of the songbook that they sing. However, it was apparently for the fact that they had been in talks with the club for years now, apparently, and the club have refused to put safe standing in for next year when the Union Bears claim it could be easily done. And the club have apparently fobbed them off by saying that they're looking into it once again. They have also refused the request by the Union Bears to move them into the BF3 section. Now, no getting into all that. Now Ross McGill, he's either the spokesman or capo for the Union Bears. I don't know what position he is. He went on the Heart and Hand podcast stating their case. And for me, what came out of it, he was asked the question by the Heart and Hand guy to say, what would you say to the existing people in BF3 who would have to move? And Ross's reply was, firstly, we would say, would you like to join us in the Union Bears? So instead of actually asking them that and putting a poll out in the first place, they've went ahead and started a silly wee protest and chucked the toys out the pram. So I'm not actually sure why it wasn't done in the first place. Support the players on the park, support the club first. If you've got gripes with the club, absolutely, take it up with them, but in a constructive manner. Everybody knows that the atmosphere can affect players on the park, and they done something, an important game where we needed to win, and ultimately every game's a cup final for us now. They decided to try and influence their own agenda, and ultimately what's something that could have and possibly does affect the players on the park. As far as I'm aware, in terms of the safe standing, it's on trial just now. There was a 3-year trial at the Gyro Dome, and I'm pretty sure this is the last season of it. So before anything that gets given the go-ahead, that needs to be completed and evaluations done from there. Now, I know that there's been issues with them, both with the fact that it's the Green Brigade causing their own issues. There's been a lot of, issues with how safe is it in terms of them moving about the area as well. So what would the Union Bears rather have at this point? Money towards players and making sure the stadium is fit for purpose, or safe standing just now? And what I'm hearing tonight as well, they issued, I don't think there's been a statement issued on their website, but there was certainly, I've got a picture here of a flyer they put up tonight inside Ibrox, and I'm going to read it as it was. The group will be continuing our protest against the board's decision of rejecting safe standing area and a section move. There has been no further development since our last statement. We will continue and try and solve these issues with the club and hopefully achieve our goal. In the first half, the group will continue from our last home match and will not participate in any organised support, and will ask everyone in BF1 to do the same. Taking that aside, I'll just stop there for a moment. They'll ask everyone in BF1 to do the same, so I take it they don't have any collective communication between their own members then, or they're not telling the truth when they said BF1, they've outgrown BF1 in their first statement, because then that would indicate what they're saying tonight is not everybody in BF1 are actually members of the Union Bears then. So,
right, okay.
So they need to clarify that one there. But they've said in the second half there will be flags handed out or placed on your seat during the half-time interval. We would ask you to wave these flags as the teams emerge from the tunnel. The group will be supporting the team vocally during the second half of the match. We will ask you to support us on this and make as much noise as possible. Thank you for your support. So, a massive game where we needed to win to get any chance of a silverware this year, they decided to choose their self-interest over supporting the club. They decided to choose their own self-interest over supporting their club. I'm reiterating that because that's fucking unbelievable for them. Once again, they've thrown the toys out of the pram just for their own self-interest.
I agree with you, Derek. I don't think that this should be brought into, especially big games like that. I completely agree. There's bound to be other ways that they can protest, for this to be brought to light. And it's, the stadium and the club needs the support. And, they do make a massive difference, with regards to the noise and getting the rest of the supporters all going and all of that. So, I'm quite disappointed that it was a game like tonight that they chose to do something like that. So,
I just don't see what their ultimate goal with this kind of attitude is, because they're not going to get anywhere. They're not going to get the rest of the fans on the support. They're not going to get support from the fans who are a bit, I wouldn't say wary about them, but really don't know much about them if they try and affect the atmosphere in the ground. Yeah, everybody's got their own responsibility to try and make the atmosphere better inside Ibrox. However, we all know how good the Union Bears can be at what they do and organising the TIFO and stuff like that. So I just think it's an absolute disgrace the way they've handled it. It's, as I said, toys out the pram behaviour, dummy, throwing the dummy everything. There's ways of going about things, and this is certainly not it. So, as you said, really, really disappointed in that, because I think it's been disgraceful the way they've handled themselves in this one. Again,
Derek, I know you feel very strongly about it all. I am all for them being in the stadium. I think that they do a fantastic job in getting the rest of the supporters singing and the atmosphere and all of that. But I just feel that there should be, there could be other ways of protesting that isn't going to affect the atmosphere inside the stadium, especially for big games.
Yeah, and ultimately tonight as well, all the stuff that they put on the seats ended up getting chucked onto the park at the start of the second half, and the second half got delayed by about 5 minutes because the even players had to go and clear up the stuff. And as they were clearing it up, still more stuff came from that section as well, raining down. We were trailing a goal at that point, and the first thing you want to do is try and delay the fucking half. Fucking idiotic, but we'll leave that there. So one idiotic issue to the next. SNP's James Dornan accused Club 1872 of abusing him on their website. Club 1872 just absolutely went both barrels against him in a great hard-hitting statement, stating that they had never ever mentioned them on their website, and there's actually no facility for people to comment on their website either, so it's not even their members that have been doing it on their website, and basically called into question his fit and proper status for being the convener of a group to tackle sectarianism. We all know that with that whole group, him being involved, John Mason, a couple of other guys, certainly no Rangers fans at any one of them. All have got issues with Rangers and their support, so I'm glad to see that somebody's called out on it, and they have alerted Rangers to this basically troublemaking and lies and slander as well.
Good stuff.
Next thing, we've appointed ex-Stenhousemuir boss Brown Ferguson as youth coach, the 37-year-old who got them back into the league, back into League One in 2017. So somebody with a surname for a first name, I'm not too sure about that. But
no, he's obviously, Derek, I come from that sort of. I live in that sort of area. Stenhousemuir's not far away from where I am, and he's a very well respected coach at that level. This is the first I'm hearing of this, Derek. I didn't know that he'd been brought in as a coach there. So vastly experienced coach who, rightly, should be coaching sort of first, second division clubs in Scotland. So that's for him being brought in as our youth. Did you say he's a scout or a coach?
Youth coach.
Youth coach. I mean, that's a fantastic piece of business by the club there. I've got to say, very, very highly respected and experienced guy. So no, that's excellent.
Yeah, certainly one of the latest. There's been a restructure and a reshuffle of the people appointed in that whole coaching youth role. So that's great.
That's brilliant. Yep.
Next one here. Charles Green is suing the police and prosecutors for £20 million for wrongful arrest. Now, won't go into it too much, obviously, because of the legalities of the whole thing. However, you can be arrested and charged, and then the Procurator Fiscal or the Crown Office or whoever it is decide they don't have enough to go forward with it. So, you know, I don't know where he's plucking the £20 million from, to be honest. It could be just one of these things. We'll try and plead them down. But, as I said, you can be arrested and charged, and it doesn't go any further. So
he maybe said it when he was on his hospital bed to Jim White, Derek, you don't know.
Maybe. Another bit of news here. Morelos has signed a new deal until 2023. Very, very smart move from the club, I think. The chances are he's going to be leaving in the summer. I think most people are kind of resigned to that fact. So ultimately really boosts his price. Or he really just is a really mad Rangers fan, and he absolutely loves it here and wants to stay more. But
well, we'll wait and see, Derek. I love the guy. I think he's fantastic. I think he's the best striker that we've had in our team since the likes of Nikita Jelavic. He's still young. Carlos Queiroz, the new Colombia manager, has came out publicly and said that he's, you know, the future. Him and a few other players, he sees his Colombia team being built around them. That's a huge, you know, thing to say for him. It puts him on the map. We just hope he can keep the heat, Derek. I'm not thinking too far into the future with him. If he does go, it's going to have to be for a hell of a lot of money. But we'll wait and see, Derek. You never know. We might get him for another season. Yeah, he is a fantastic player, a fantastic talent. Considering we only paid £1 million for him.
Yeah,
it's been some bit of business, and you know the best striker in Scotland by quite some distance at the moment, and he can only get better. He just has to do it, you know, get better mentally as well. And you know, if this is what he's done this season, and he still was next season, you know, here's hoping he can go on and score even more goals. But season's no finish yet, Derek. I know I'm saying that it's going to be, it's highly unlikely that we're going to win anything, but there's still a lot of games to come. So, you know, here's hoping he gets a hell of a lot more goals before the season finishes.
Yep. And obviously you mentioned the Colombia boss there. He's been called up to the Colombia squad for their Asian tour. They'll play Japan on Friday the 22nd of March and Korea on the 26th of March. However, the Old Firm game is on Sunday the 31st of March, so he's got a lot of travelling to do.
Yeah.
Which quite obviously they had to do it. The media put a negative spin on it, rather than praising the guy for playing absolutely amazing, getting a call up while he's for the first times while he's in Scotland. They put a negative spin on it. However, on that note, I don't know if the yellow card they picked up obviously would have been banned for the semi-final. I'm not sure if that carries on into the league. So saying that, he would have probably the next games, he might get banned for the next game against Kilmarnock. I'm not too sure.
I don't know.
We'll see how that pans out.
Yeah.
More international news. Alan McGregor has retired from international football, so 47 caps I think he had, so he was only a few off his Hall of Famer there, but I don't know if the whole 2-match ban the SFA gave him for the whole Aberdeen tackle thing in the box has maybe pissed him off and he's decided to retire, but you know, certainly Scotland's loss.
Going by Alec McLeish's report, Alec McLeish I think's pretty devastated, and he spoke to him privately. Basically, once he told him, Alec McLeish sort of asked him to, you know, sleep on it as it be, and get back to him again. But again, when he spoke to him, I think his mind was made up, and it is a big loss to Scotland, Derek, because Scotland have went from having Craig Gordon and Alan McGregor as their goalkeepers, two fantastic keepers, to now I honestly don't know who is going to go into goals for Scotland. I know there's a lot of Rangers fans out there don't give two hoots, but I mean, I'd still do cheer my country on, and I'm baffled as to who Alec McLeish is going to actually pick for goals.
Well, the Celtic fans seem to think that their Bane is better than sliced bread, so. But they
I don't know. Well, I don't know, Derek. I've spoke to a few Celtic fans that really didn't rate him that highly at all, to be honest with you. So it's 50-50. He's certainly no in the same class as Alan McGregor or on his day Craig Gordon, but we'll just have to wait and see. But again, it's only good for us. It means that McGregor's only going to be playing matches for Rangers, so there's not going to be that worry of him getting injured or anything like that when he's away on international duty. So we've got to take the positives out of this as much as we can, and that's certainly a positive, that he's basically only going to be playing for us, no one else. So
yeah. So the last piece of Rangers news here I've got is we've extended our partnership with Utilita. So that's good for the commercial department as well, and obviously good for the Pro Evolution Soccer fans. Yes. Utilita's all round the stadium, isn't it?
That's
the advertising board and so
I don't know if you'll get much of a blooming laugh for me tonight, mate, because I'm still pissed off.
Dave, you're hard. What's hard audience tonight?
I know, it's no a night for laughing, unfortunately.
If you don't laugh at this, you're no heart. Man is jailed after dipping his testicles in a customer's salsa. A Tennessee delivery man was jailed on felony charges after allegedly dipping his testicles into a container of salsa a customer had ordered online. Talk about a hot and spicy meat platter.
What was his reason for doing this?
Well, the man was apparently riding shotgun along with a delivery woman when he committed the alleged atrocity against the food.
Right, okay.
The delivery,
was it some sort of sexual, weird sexual act that they were hoping to perform, or?
The delivery driver, a woman who remains unidentified, reportedly recorded her passenger's ballsy act of defiance in response to a bad tip for the customer, who was hungry for the Mexican dip. The passenger has been named as 31-year-old Howard Matthew Webb. Howard Webb, hey.
There you go.
Although he wasn't exactly caught with his hand in the cookie jar or his balls in the salsa jar, as if the case was.
So they basically done it to piss off the customer because they did the tip.
Basically,
tip them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Webb was arrested last week and charged with the adulteration of food. The act of intentionally debasing the quality of food offered for sale by either admixture or substitution of inferior substances by the removal of some... I think there should have been some indecent exposure type thing coming on there.
That's disgusting. There you go.
Well, apparently the hearing was today, so I don't know when. I don't know what the outcome. So it's unclear if the delivery driver will be charged with any crime.
So I take it the person must have seen them doing this.
I think so, yes.
Right, okay. Oh my God. Right, okay.
So, on that note,
I
managed to get a laugh out of Dave, which was good.
Yeah.
As ever, if you check us out on our website, which is ireadypodcast.wordpress.com, where you'll find all our links to all our social media sites such as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, we've got Spotify, and we've also got PodBean, our host, as well. So Dave and I will be back at some point, probably, maybe I would say after the Kilmarnock game, because obviously we've got a couple of week break because of the international there, so maybe next week or the week after.
Here's hoping that's going to be a bit more upbeat than it has been tonight, Derek.
Yes, I would like to think so. So,
yes.
Thanks for listening, and goodbye.
Take care, folks. Goodbye.
And the stadium erupts in red, white and blue. You've never seen anything like it.
Let's go.